Welcome to the Button List podcast, coming at you live from Beating Dreams in Dallas, Texas, featuring Allison
and Heather. During this broadcast, we will delve into the stories of famous gemstones, past and present, looking to amuse, delight, and possibly disturb you.
We record live weekly, and we invite you to join in the online conversation every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube.
Just a warning, sometimes we get a little spicy.
Please be aware that the following broadcast may contain mature content.
Thank you for supporting small businesses.
And we hope you enjoy our show.
We are working with our new format, which I'm quite liking, of weird and wacky. Hi, Kenneth. Weird and wacky gemstone tale. So we are going to focus for the next episode or two, or possibly three, on the completely insanely crazy story of the Pearl of Lao Tzu. And everything that we are going to say tonight actually happened, except some of the things that actually happened were somebody saying things that didn't actually happen.
But they were said out loud on purpose.
Like, bonkers ass as this story is, like, it is all true except for the parts that are fake.
All words were true. Truly said. All words were not truly meant.
Yeah. So, alright. So, I do want to credit, a lot of the research from this podcast, or for this podcast, this particular episode, came from an article written in 2018 by Michael LaPointe for The Atlantic. There was also, of course, some internet sleuthing that happened, but Michael LaPointe did a really good job of kind of...
Really fascinating.
It's a very fast... It's also really big. Like, it's all... It's large. Yeah. It's a lot of pages. So... Mr. LaPointe did a very good job of kind of collating all of the disparate elements in one place. It reads like a soap opera. It is freaking nutballs.
Honestly, all the details that we are going to give you tonight are not all the details. So,
yeah.
If you have access to that, please.
No, don't tell them to read it. They need to come back next week and listen to us.
No, they also need to listen. They need to listen to our podcast for the next week or two.
And then I'll post a link to the article.
The article, because seriously,
yeah,
there's even more.
There's even more. It's crazy. Okay, so
yay for journalism,
right? Okay, so we're gonna start with Heather, and Heather is gonna take us to the Philippines in May of 1934.
Picture Philippines, May 1934. So there's a diver who gets eaten by a giant clam. As one does, but obviously that's not quite how that went, because first of all, divers are not eaten by giant clams. Giant clams survive on algae because they're just like that. That's how they do. Yeah, they suck in.
They're vegetarians.
They suck in water and they spit it out.
So no one knows why it's better.
Yeah, I can't do anything. So,
sitting up straight with the window open is okay? Is that... Where are we? Weigh in, please. Because we literally can't see. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Awesome. Okay.
So we're gonna go back to we're gonna take a way back to the beginning of the story. To the Philippines in May 1934.
And I used my picture at Philippines, 1934. So there is a species of giant clam named Tridacna gigas. And there are lots of giant clams out there. Turns out this is the one that's most commonly referred to as a giant clam. It tends to make pearls that are very large, as befits its stature. And these are non-nacreous pearls, so they're not like the pearls that we're used to. They don't have the shimmer on the surface, because the nacre is the part of the pearl that's pretty, that looks like pearl to us. So these are big pearls, but they don't have that same exact look. Thank you, Mary. So there's a diver from this clan, and he's diving offshore, and he accidentally gets trapped by this giant clam, and he gets eaten, but not really eaten, because clams don't eat people. They smash people accidentally, but clams eat by pulling in water and getting all the good stuff from the water that they can take, and then spitting the water back out, and then they just do that over and over again. And so this poor diver kind of got sucked in and did not get spat out in a good amount of time. So he did. And
he did.
He
literally says it in the script.
It does. I said it. I've said it both times because he did. So they know where the diver was. They go after him. They find where he is, and they bring up both the diver and the clam. And inside the clam is a pearl, non-nacreous pearl, that weighs 14 pounds. Like the size of a couple babies, unless they're really, really chunky babies. But
really well-cooked babies.
Yeah, like if you've got a 12-month-old baby who's freshly born, then that's a 14-pound baby. But that's not the usual.
Well, I mean, that's fair, but I feel like his lifespan was still shortened.
It was shortened by
significantly by being
in a clam.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's not where most of us choose to hang out.
Yeah.
So the chief of the tribal clan looks at the pearl, and he says that he sees the face of Muhammad in the pearl. So immediately, obviously, this pearl becomes very precious to him and to the people who found it, and he refers to it as the Pearl of Allah. And fast forward a little bit.
So he got clam jammed. He did, in fact, get clam jammed. It is true.
Oh my gosh.
Talifet is not wrong.
Nope, Talifet is not wrong. So, fast forward a little bit. It's still in the 30s, but it's a little bit later. So the group has had this pearl that's sacred to them. And there's a Filipino American named Wilburn Dowell Cobb. And he comes and he's in the area, and it's not overly clear why he was hanging out there, but he was. And he offers to buy the pearl from the chief. He may have been there to buy the pearl, who knows. But the chief says, no, I will not sell it because this is sacred. And so, sorry, no, it's not for sale. Money is not as important as the pearl. And while Cobb is there, the chief's son has malaria, and Cobb has the most modern medicine available at the time, which ends up working for the chief's son. So after the chief's son lives, thanks to Cobb, they give Cobb the Pearl of Allah as a thank you. Not a monetary transaction, because again, we're talking about something that's sacred, but they give it to him as a thank you. And then, Allison.
So now let's pivot forward a little bit to 1939. So Cobb gets somebody to write up a bogus appraisal for this pearl, saying that it's one of the most rare pearls ever and it's worth $1 bajillion million. And this gets Cobb a spot on Broadway at Ripley's Believe It or Not, where he's showing this pearl. And then things start to get crazy, because now Cobb claims that while he was showing the pearl at Ripley's, an elderly Chinese gentleman of highest culture and significant wealth, Cobb's own words, saw the pearl and burst into hysterical tears as soon as he beheld it, and confirmed that this was not the Pearl of Allah as it had been named, but the long-lost pearl of, how do you say it, Heather?
Lao Tzu.
How do you say it in English?
Lao Tzu.
How do you say it in Chinese?
Lao Tzu.
How do you say it in Japanese?
Lao Tzu.
So, hello Chinese is a very tonal language. So, this Chinese gentleman who Cobb referred to as Mr. Li claimed that this was the long lost pearl of Lao Tzu. So, what is the Pearl of Lao Tzu? Well, according to Mr. Li, which, by the way, I just want to point out that no one has ever seen this Mr. Li except for Mr. Cobb.
Mm-hmm.
So, according to Mr. Li, in 600 BC, Lao Tzu carved an amulet depicting 3 faces: Buddha, Confucius, and himself, because obviously humility was not one of his virtues. He inserted said amulet into a clam so that it could create a pearl. And then, through some divine mechanism, this mystical pearl was transferred to larger and larger and larger and larger clams over the years, until the Tridacna gigas was the only clam that was big enough to contain this mystical pearl. And that is
14-pound pearl.
14-pound pearl.
Yeah.
And so that is where it was when, again, poor dead guy led to its discovery in 1934. Cobb claimed that Li offered him $3.5 million for the pearl.
In 1934.
Yeah. And trust me, those numbers are just going to go up until they go way down.
Before 1939, at least.
Yeah. But Cobb, being a principled man, refused to sell the pearl, just like the chief before him.
Yes.
And then Mr. Li returns to China and is never heard from again. Shocking.
Yeah, no, I am not going to try to adjust that for inflation, because that number is big enough already. So, Cobb, being an absolute champion human.
Yeah.
I mean, so far, he's
so amazing.
Yeah,
he's just such a great guy.
He's just going around saving everyone, and who knows if that's actually at all what happened ever. In 1939, he left his wife and eight children to come to America with the pearl, because he really loved that pearl. And did you $79,911,011.77. Did we include it here where the daughter kicks the pearl?
I think so.
I think we referred back to it, but
I think we refer back to it, but anyway.
But anyway, so one of his kids, all of them grew up in the shadow of this 14-pound pearl, like the newborn babies, the actual newborn babies. Who cares about them? We've got a pearl. So he and the love of his life, this giant pearl, go to America. And of course, Japanese occupation of the Philippines begins in 1941. So he can't get to his kids can't get to him.
Well, but he didn't. I don't think he wanted to get to his kids because he joined.
No, he didn't.
This isn't in the notes, but he joined the Merchant Marine.
Yeah.
And like sailed around for a while.
Yeah.
While his kids were being like their homes were being razed and people were being massacred, and like I don't even think he tried to get back to his wife and kids.
No.
So
But
again,
one of his kids, Ruth,
champion human.
got so mad one day she kicked the Pearl. Because she was,
Yep.
and she was just a little kid, so kicking a 14-pound Pearl would probably not have felt very good.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, champion human. And yes, exactly. Thank you, Ruth, for sticking up for yourself as much as you were able to as a tiny, tiny human.
Yes.
So Cobb is living the high life. He's got this Pearl. He's in the U.S., but when he's with the Merchant Marines, he traveled with the Pearl, correct?
He did. It was in his suitcase.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Because, again, love of his life.
Yeah, Ruth actually, in one of the later interviews, said that she didn't think he was psychologically capable of being separated from it.
Yeah, at one point it became like
So,
an
you know,
organ in
that's
his
a
body.
healthy relationship.
Right, exactly. So the next thing we hear is in 1967. You know, there are just some stories, because he definitely loved to show off his Pearl. Like some men like to show things off. So 1967, there is the San Francisco Gem Laboratory. The operator of that was Lee Sparrow in 1967, and he speculated that the Pearl might be worth as much as $40 to $42 million, which is, again, quite a lot of money.
Quite a lot of money, and upon very little concrete. I think it was based, if I remember from the article, it was based solely on the weight of the pearl.
It wasn't based on the
But
quality
it didn't
or
take quality or anything into account of the fact that it is non-nacreous pearl.
right.
He
Like, there's this rock.
valued it like
It's a lot of clams.
right? So he valued
Thank
it
you,
like
Julie.
it was a gem quality pearl when in fact it's
But
not.
it's not. It's
But this just serves to burnish the reputation.
right.
Of
So
this
now, you've got this appraisal. So, enter a character named Victor Barbish. He's not connected to the Pearl yet.
Yes.
But
So,
Victor, wait, I was supposed to...
what? No.
No? Okay, go ahead.
I thought I was Victor Barbishing.
Well, because you were doing the... Go ahead. Because all I had there was... Never mind, go ahead.
Okay. So, Victor Barbish.
That's right, you were Barbishing.
I know, you suggested I should Barbish.
I know. My line was in the wrong place.
Also, I feel like we've made Barbish a verb.
Okay, once you hear more about Victor Barbish, you will agree that it is a
yes.
verb.
No, I think actually Barbishing needs to be a new button list.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so Victor Barbish claimed in his adult life that he was a monk, a prize fighter, CIA agent, an opera singer, business partner of Sammy Davis Jr., and lover of Sophia Loren. That would be lover in the biblical sense, not just he admired her.
I admire her.
He also claimed to, in his adult life, have been poisoned, shot, imprisoned in war, and, wait for it, possessed by demons. Also, he claimed that he was the son of Al Capone.
Which explains all the rest, right?
Right, because demons. So, Barbish ran underground gambling operations in several cities in California, one of which was under the name of the church he founded, the Church of All Faiths. And he used the religious exemption for churches to run an illegal bingo gambling game.
All faiths, including gambling.
Yes. So at this point now, he was the Reverend Victor Barbish, having received his ordination by the Universal Life Church. And nothing against the Universal Life Church, because I know several people who have their ordinations from there, but shady AF.
That's awesome, Julie. Yeah, I mean, okay, so the Universal Life Church has been around forever, and there's, as far as I know, there isn't anything but ordination happening there. Correct me if I'm wrong. I would love to have more information. I didn't do research into that, but yeah. So Victor Barbish, barbishing for sure.
Barbishing for sure. So what happened, Heather, in 1979?
So in 1979, our champion human, Cobb, dies. And is definitely...
Natural causes.
Yeah, natural causes. This
The
is one
murder's
of
gonna
the
come
deaths in here.
The murder's going to come next episode.
Yeah, this is one of the few deaths in this entire story that is not weird. Like, the poor diver. So, Cobb dies. And Victor Barbish buys the Pearl of Lao Tzu. And you are correct.
How much does he buy it for?
Oh! $200,000.
Not $40 million?
Not $40 million!
What?
I know, not even $3.5 million.
No.
It's $200,000. And to incorporate it and make it more visible and fancy and barbished, he
definitely barbished the shit out of that.
He did. So he formed the world's largest pearl company. So that's what it was called, the world's largest pearl company. And he continues to barbish. So he starts telling even more elaborate stories about the origin and history of the pearl. But there is a common thread that runs through all of these stories that Barbish tells. And as we have seen previously, Barbish is quite the consummate storyteller. The common thread is whoever possesses the pearl winds up rich, powerful, or both. So in 1985, we're fast forwarding a little bit. He's had time to tell some stories.
Also, by the way, 1979, the year that I was born. So the world's largest pearl company was founded the year that I was born.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
That's pretty exciting.
I know.
Yeah. So, in 1985, Barbish moves to Colorado Springs, which is a lovely place, and he... Rich, something I forgot.
Powerful.
So yes, so far all of the owners of the pearl have wound up dead, but I mean, at this point, it's inevitable.
Slither and dragon fits on top of my shenanigans.
Ooh, that's exciting.
I hope everyone can see it, because, again, we can't see anything.
No, we have no idea
We have no idea,
whether something is on camera or not.
I'm really scared to close this window.
If we
I'm
close
afraid
the window, bad things happen to sound.
Yeah, that the sound is going to go to shit. So,
okay, so Universal Life Church has only one belief. They believe in that which is right and in every person's right to interpret what is right. So,
well, Barbish definitely exercised that right.
didn't he though? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Cindy!
Hi, Cindy! How are you?
So anyway, it's 1985. Barbish has moved to Colorado Springs and he's living a lavish lifestyle because he has the world's largest pearl company and he has his silver tongue that he can talk anyone into. And according to everyone around him, for quite some time, he was always claiming to be in the process of a multi-million-dollar sale of the pearl, which always seemed to fall through at the last minute. One of his most crazy stories, which is saying a lot for this man,
Yes.
is in 1999, he claimed that Osama bin Laden offered to buy the pearl for $60 million as a gift for Saddam Hussein. So,
Yeah.
my dude who's living on stories and a corporation he founded around Pearl had some legal troubles here and there.
What?
So I know it's
I'm shocked.
I also am shocked.
This is my shocked face.
I cannot see your shocked face.
No, but everyone else
I
can.
Yes.
My eyes are wide and blinking.
Yes, I'm
that
positive.
equals shock.
I believe you as much as I believe Victor Barbish.
Wait, are you saying that I'm barbishing now?
You might be. I have no way of knowing. So yeah, he's got a lot of legal troubles. And what happened then, Allison?
So, in 1990, a Colorado judge who's described in the article as being fed up with all of the legal shenanigans.
Oh, but by the way, please note, this is before the 1999 story. So Barbish continues to Barbish forever.
Even after. So, in 1990, a Colorado judge orders the pearl to be sold at auction, is the word I'm looking for, to settle Barbish's debts. Like, he's sick of all of these stupid lawsuits coming through. Like, he's just like, you need to sell this thing, and you need to pay off the people you owe, and then you need to go crawl in a hole and, like, never darken my courtroom again. So,
I wish some judges were able to do that.
So this is where Peter Hoffman, who's a Beverly Hills jeweler, really becomes a player in this story. Now, Peter Hoffman has been a supporting character in this story for quite a while because he somehow managed to acquire a 1/3 stake in a pearl. I'm guessing that Barbish barbished him into giving him 1/3 of an unspecified amount of money.
Right.
So we don't know if this is
just
a
third of what
$200,000.
Barbish thinks the
third
pearl
of
is worth.
$40 million. Nobody knows. But Peter Hoffman owns a 1/3 stake in this pearl, and so as soon as the judge orders a pearl to be sold at auction, Hoffman's like, "Woot! I'm running the auction. Bidding starts at $10 million."
Yes.
And then he starts throwing around names like Ferdinand Marcos and Whoopi Goldberg, which I still feel like is so freaking random. Like,
okay,
why
so
Whoopi Goldberg?
in the same sentence as Ferdinand Marcos. I mean, how often would that have happened?
I mean, well,
Is definitely a question I have.
yeah. So shockingly, neither Ferdinand Marcos nor Whoopi Goldberg nor any of the other big name buyers that Hoffman said he had on the hook came through. Again, that's my shocked face. Also, now Hoffman starts barbishing. This is 1990. So Hoffman also starts barbishing at this point.
I love that that is fully a verb.
No, it's only a verb forever and ever and ever.
Yes.
So, at this point, Hoffman starts to spread the story that Wilbur Cobb, remember him?
Yeah.
He was the first guy who got the
The
pearl.
champion human.
Yeah, the champion human who abandoned his wife and 8 children to the Japanese occupation of the Philippines. Hoffman spreads the story that Wilbur Cobb had seen. Okay, are y'all ready? Like,
I don't think you're ready, actually.
Everybody take a breath, because this is.
Because you thought it was weird already, but you don't even know.
It's gonna get even weirder, but this is like we're starting to escalate the weirdness.
Yeah.
Okay. So
We're
now,
barbishing the barbishing.
so now Hoffman is spreading the story that Wilbur Cobb told Hoffman that he had seen him being Hoffman, in a dream with Confucius, Buddha, and Lao Tzu.
Lao Tzu.
Where the 3 sages claimed that Hoffman was to be the caretaker of the pearl.
If you can
Yep.
dream it, you can do it.
Apparently.
Yeah.
However, since none of the proposed buyers ever came through, the pearl remained in Colorado Springs in a safety deposit box, its fate in limbo. And limbo is where we're going to leave it for this evening, but definitely tune in next week, because what do we have next week on the story of the Pearl of Lao Tzu, Heather?
So some of the things we have coming up next week, and possibly the week after, depends on how big next week
I know, there's
gets.
a lot of stuff.
There's so much. So Laura Lintner Horn, who was the ward of Victor Barbish. I mean, imagine the bedtime stories. And then she was friends with him for her whole life and his whole life.
And decided at some point it was a good idea to entrust him with her money.
That's...
More about that later.
Yeah. She was definitely Barbished from the start.
Mm-hmm.
We can't blame her for that. She was unfortunately...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was Barbished from when she was a child, which is actually child abuse and really scary.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Like gaslighted, not just Barbished.
Yeah.
So the world's largest pearl company magically becomes the Pearl for Peace Foundation. And the script Allison has given me says, buckle up, bitches, it keeps getting wackier. And that is correct. Because Barbish ultimately is the victim of the Pearl, as everyone is.
He winds up
he
dead.
goes to another plane, but there's also murder. There are aliens, and who knows where the Pearl is now?
Well, I do.
Do you?
Well, yeah.
Are you sure?
Well, the article told me.
The article might not know. That was in 2018. I mean,
Fair.
this Pearl could have gone anywhere.
Fair.
So there's
we
a lot.
We can tell you where the Pearl was in 2018.
There's a lot left to go.
But only if you tune in next week to the Button List with Allison and Heather. For part 2 of the Pearl of Lao Tzu. And like I said, or like Heather said, like we both said, there might be a part 3 because this story is whack.
The more we outline it, the more we're like, okay, we can't do all of this.
Yeah, no, I was typing and typing and typing, and I was like, no, this is.
And just so you
There's
know,
no way.
this was going to be part of the Pearls, the original Pearls podcast. I was like,
Yeah, no.
Allison, no, this is a pound of information. We're not doing it.
Quite literally a pound of information. Yes. But so that is part 1 of the weird and wacky history of the Pearl of Lao Tzu. Starting in according to Wilbur and Cobb, starting in 600 BC, and we have taken you all the way up to
14 pounds of information. Yes. The world's largest article company.
all the way up to 1990. So on our next episode, we are going to continue forward in time from 1990, and we may or may not make it all the way to 2018, but we're going to take you
We're going to take you as far as we can get.
We're going to take you as far as we can get in an hour next week, and then we'll see if we've got to have a third podcast about this. This is some crazy stuff.
It really is.
It's really nuts. So, I think that does it for us tonight. I'm sorry about the audio issues. I will go back. I will listen to this and see if I can figure out what the actual heck is going on. But thank you so much for hanging with us and persevering through the audio issues. Since we do want to eventually make this an audio-only thing, I need to figure that nonsense out. But that's going to be a problem for tomorrow. So, yeah.
We can't see you. And we can't see us.
Anything.
But we love you.
We love you very much. So I'm Allison. That is.
I'm Heather.
We are from Feeding Dreams in Dallas, Texas. So thank you so much for listening to our chat stream. Don't forget that we stream tutorials live every Wednesday and Friday at 6 p.m. Central Time. We do a live sale every Thursday. That's tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. The Button List podcast is every Wednesday at 7:30, and Saturday sometimes we do Zoom, so we can do it on a basis.
Yes.
Sometimes we do where you only get to see us. But everyone have a great night, and we'll catch you back on this show for September 4th.
tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. That's Saturday. So everyone take care and thank you so much. Goodbye.